my question to the panel is how you look forward for these things and electricity की demand के कारण how you think things are changing. So over to Ankush bhai.
Yeah. So, Nimish, like typically as an investor, I never invest in top-down businesses as such. More, I'm a bottoms-up investor. But the way I look at it is, even if you find a top-down, say a theme that you think is going to work out, I think since there are a lot of businesses that are there, eventually I think the long-term wealth is created in businesses that are more resilient, right? So even if you look at, say, generation, transmission, or distribution companies, all these are highly regulated. These are asset-heavy businesses with low ROC, high working capital requirement, right? So generally, what happens is, obviously, in any value chain, there are always one or two businesses that are sort of value additive in nature. So if you look at overall power value chain, one of the best companies you can, or the best business you can buy out there is something like Energy Exchange, which is IEX. Because irrespective of whether the capex continues or not, does not continues, IEX eventually will do well because there are multiple things that is working out. Firstly, the overall increase, right? Whether the capex is there or the capex is not there. Secondly, within that, the share of short-term power is going to increase because PPA structurally are have a lot of disadvantages, whether it be the higher cost, the issue with receivables, and the lack of flexibility in scheduling power. Short-term power and business like IEX allows you to buy power for every 30 minutes, right? There are blocks of 50 minutes you can buy in real time. So if your power demand is going to increase in next 30 minutes, depending on the peak power requirement, you can buy 30 minutes in advance. So there's a lot of flexibility or value addition that these businesses provide. Obviously, the tail risk of market coupling that is there that requires a separate discussion. But the point that I want to highlight is key just because you have a structural tailwind, I don't think that by itself creates good investing opportunities because typically what happens is in markets, I mean, Mr. Samit Vartak of Stage One stated it very clearly and very well that, in good times, macro themes leads you to provide valuations which are like consumer led. And when the tailwind goes away, these companies get valuation multiples of commodities, right? So the
Yes.
divergence in valuation that you will get over time in these companies is huge, right? So like right now, also a lot of people are bullish on NTPC and all those stuff, but eventually you have to realize that NTPC earns most of its money as a regulated ROE. So you have a certain ROE base and they earn a certain percentage on that regulated ROE. So you can't technically value it on price to earnings, right? So those kind of things are there. Eventually, I think in these kind of plays, you have to look at the momentum, right, in terms of fundamentals. So like typically the way how things works in order book. So if there is delta in order book, because honestly, 99.9% of the people are not going to wait for the execution, right? Everyone is just trying to bet on the momentum in order book. So you have to be very confident on the fact that order is going to grow. If order book is going to grow, because if you're looking at the existing order book and thinking, okay, this is the how much they will generate over next few years, the game has already ended. Look at what has happened to defense and railways companies over last 2 months, right? Because
Yes.
uh, the moment market senses that the incremental delta in order book is not there, it's game over from the valuation perspective, and which is why the stocks just don't do well, right? So I'll personally just say that if you're investing in these kind of companies, be very confident that the macro theme that you're betting on is going to continue at least for next 4 5 quarters. And to be honest, it is very difficult to anticipate all that because it is only in the hindsight that that you figure out, okay, that the macro theme sort of ended over here. So typically for me, it's relatively difficult to make money in this kind of top-down approaches, which is why I try to avoid it. But even if you're going to do it, I think you need to find out certain businesses which will work independent of this theme playing out. Till the time the theme is playing out, obviously you might make some additional alpha. So something like wires and cables that people are betting on, because obviously you have a base business that will always be there. And if the capex in say power or say even in real estate countries, if you get a couple of years of extra tailwind and that allows you to grow faster. But even when the tailwind stop, you still have a fairly decent sustainable base of business, which will allow you the stock to do well.
Yeah, I think fair point because there are too much regulations. अगर हम डिफेंस की बात करें, so what you took a right point कि जैसे ही गवर्नमेंट का ऑर्डर्स आना बंद हुआ, उसी टाइम से डिफेंस स्टॉक्स आर लाइक क्रेजी गोइंग डाउन, देयर इज नथिंग। वो पहले बढ़ भी इसलिए रहे थे, नाउ दे आर गोइंग डाउन बिकॉज देयर इज
निमेश, आप
नथिंग।
मार्केट की ना हिस्ट्री उठा के देख लो। अगर आप देखोगे ना, हाइंडसाइट का आपको ऐसा लगेगा कि यार ये पॉइंट में मार्केट ने क्लियरली फिगर आउट कर लिया था कि ये यहाँ पे टॉप बन गया इंडस्ट्री का।
यस
वो आप
यस यस।
एनबीएफसी साइकिल देख लो, पास्ट फार्मा साइकिल देख लो, रियल एस्टेट साइकिल देख लो। बट वो हाइंडसाइट का ऐसा लगता है कि मार्केट ने कैसे फिगर आउट किया, बट द थिंग इज मार्केट फिगर आउट कि यहाँ से डेल्टा नहीं है, राइट? तो
यस यस
आई मीन, if you look at past, I mean 2015 pharma का top, I mean if you look at it, it was such a beautiful top. मतलब next year से like things started going down for these companies on a macro level. You know, the the generic competition increased so much that the guys who were making money on the US para force from 2010 2015, they just stopped making money. The number of patent expiry reduced, and they got challenges on the regulatory front as well. बट वो टाइम पे ना आपको पता नहीं चलता, बिकॉज एट दैट टाइम ना एवरीथिंग लुक्स हंकी डोरी. It is only with the benefit of hindsight in this kind of bets you realize, okay, that this is the point that, okay, this thing started going wrong. But market has that knack to figure it out early, because market looks at incremental growth. It is not looking at how much business you have won now.
agreed even after 2020 2021 जब there are too much pharma because of the COVID,
Hmm.
and then everything is standstill for 2 years. There is
Yeah, yeah.
nothing going on in the pharma, and nobody is
Yes.
talking about even pharma now. Again it started, but the point is कि जब boom होता है तो everybody is talking about every company or every stock in the whole sector, and post that there is no one.
या सो सी, थीम वाले बैट में ना प्रॉब्लम ही वही होता है कि यार आपको ना थीम के साथ घुसना ही पड़ता है, थीम के साथ एग्जिबिट करना पड़ता है. बट द थिंग इज कि इनिशियली इट इज वेरी डिफिकल्ट फिगर आउट कि थीम बन रहा है. तो आप
Yes.
टेक्निकली ना 6 महीना लेट ही चढ़ने वाले हो इवेंचुअली. एकदम स्टार्ट में तो थीम पता नहीं. द ओनली गाइज हु आर एट द बिगिनिंग ऑफ द थीम इज पीपल हु हैव ऑलरेडी बॉट बिफोर द थीम स्टार्टेड. मतलब वो जैसे शुगर वाले लोग हैं, राइट? मोस्ट ऑफ द गाइज हु हैव मेड मनी इन द शुगर वर पीपल हु हैव बॉट शुगर इन 2018 ओनली. मतलब वो ऑलरेडी शुगर में इन्वेस्टेड थे, राइट, पहले से. तो
Hmm.
थिंकिंग कि यार नया थीम चालू होएगा, आप फर्स्ट हैंड घुस जाओगे, वैसा नहीं होता. आप 6 महीने बाद ही आओगे और आपका एग्जिट भी 6 महीने बाद ही होएगा, राइट? तो
Yes.
आई मीन, एंड दैट इज वेयर द रिस्क इज. तो आप 100% ऊपर चढ़ के ले रहे हो फ्रॉम द बॉटम, एंड आप 30% लोअर बेचोगे टॉप से एटलीस्ट. तो यू हैव टू बी वेरी कॉन्फिडेंट कि ये जो थीम आप ले रहे हो कि एटलीस्ट नेक्स्ट 1-2 साल का रनवे हो, अदरवाइज यू वोंट मेक मनी.
Yep.
Agreed.